Monday night's matchup between the Hornets and the Bulls was all about the balls, baby. We're going balls deep with this matchup, and yes, probably more ball-related puns to come. But the big headline, obviously, for Monday night's affair was LaMelo versus Lonzo. The Ball brothers facing off in the NBA yet again. It certainly is exciting, and if anything else, it's another signature crowning win moment for a LeVar Ball. The hat that he wore, you can't really knock him at this point. I told you so. He did tell you so. I mean, granted, LeVar Ball has said some really stupid things, like that he couldn't be beaten one-on-one. Like, when you get past the bluster and everything else, you see a man, kind of similar to Richard Williams with Serena and Venus, that put everything towards his kids and their dreams and their shot at achieving greatness and success. And who are we to argue against it at this point? Maybe we should be encouraging more LeVar Balls to be out there in the world, even with some of the dumb stuff with the big baller brand and so forth. The reality is LaMelo Ball is showing that he could be a franchise type of player, and Lonzo Ball, in his own way, certainly is playing like a stud for the Chicago Bulls this season. This was going to be a fascinating matchup that played out all night. But in the first half, it was really more about some of the other players. Like Charlotte was up 31-30 after the first quarter. P.J. Washington in that first half in general, but especially in the first quarter, frankly, he was playing like his child support depended on it. It's like he knows that Brittany Renner's about to take him to the fucking cleaners. He was on fire. Terry Rozier got off to a solid start. He had 7 points, and he was going to be a big factor for the Hornets on that night. For the Bulls, you had Lonzo and DeMar DeRozan with 6 points each in that first quarter. But, the big story in the first was Nikola Vucevic getting off to a decent start. He had 9 points, and it was going to end up being a really big night for him, and more on that in a moment. In the second quarter, though, the Bulls got rolling. Their offense found an even greater rhythm. I mean, they put up 39 points in the quarter. So they were flowing. Vucevic played well in that second quarter as well. He had 17 at the half, including that buzzer-beating 3 to go into half. And the big thing that stood out to me with Vucevic in this game Monday night was that he slowed down. You could just sense there was a different rhythm to him, where you would see in some of the earlier games, especially the game the other night against the Heat on Monday, you could see he was rushing. Here, you could see that he had slowed down. And sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. I don't know if it's a slow down to speed up situation here. It's more of a slow the hell down and relax, and you'll do just fine. Because to me, by slowing down, Vucevic played a whole hell of a lot better, and the results ultimately bore that out. DeRozan had 13 for the Bulls, and Caruso had 11 at the half. The Bulls shot almost 70% from the field in the second quarter. Like, it was an offensive exhibition. Might be a lack of Hornets defense, too, to be fair, but it was impressive stuff. P.J. Washington and Terry Rozier each had 15 to lead the Hornets. And for LaMelo Ball, it was a rough start against Big Bro. It was only 1 of 6 from the field. Really wasn't much of a factor at all. When you got into the third quarter, though, the Bulls kept it rolling. At one point in time, they had a 23-point lead. Vucevic, after 3 quarters, had 25. DeRozan had 23, and Levine had 19. So when you're looking at the Bulls and you're saying, hey, these are your top 3 dudes, you want all 3 of them to play well, I mean, this is easily the best combined performance of all 3 of them this entire season, and very timely it is indeed. The Bulls, after 3 quarters, were shooting almost 62% from the field and about 46% from 3. So it was a really, really good shooting night, which I think is a reflection of Vucevic slowing down and getting into a good rhythm. It was a reflection of the Bulls taking better quality shots, moving the basketball more effectively, the Hornets not going to the zone early enough, like all of these things. Terry Rozier did his best to try and keep the Hornets in striking distance, though, because he had 14 points in that third. Good news for the Bulls was they kept P.J. Washington scoreless in the third. Maybe he thought the first half performance was enough to help with the child support. I don't really know. But the problem was in the fourth quarter, it got hairy, and it got really, really hairy. As I mentioned, the Bulls at one point in time had like a 23-point lead in the third quarter, but the Hornets kept chipping away, And that lead went all the way down to 4, and you're looking at this and you're saying, oh shit. The Hornets can win this thing, and are the Bulls about to face plant? And how terrible would that be on a night where Vucevic is playing easily his best game of the season, and the Bulls are playing their best offensive game for the season, that it might not be enough. But fortunately enough for the Bulls, they were able to find their bearings in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter, executed, played some good defense at key moments, hit some big shots, and they end up getting the win here, 133 to 119. As I mentioned, for Vucevic, it was a really big game, 30 points for him. You know, rebounds are nice. You can talk about getting a double-double, but in this one, it's literally just about the scoring. Fuck the rebounds and everything else. Those are nice, but this is what matters. You saw a Vucevic that was patient in the post and in the paint. You saw a Vucevic that was taking good shots. He was slowing down. He was in a good rhythm, and he stayed in that good rhythm all night. And if he starts to play like this more, you know, the Bulls are going to be a little more dangerous. You know, you want to see this more, because the reality is Vucevic, you know, I know he missed some time due to the COVID thing, but he had been playing kind of like Cheeks. You got to acknowledge it as it is. He had been playing like Cheeks, but here, he was great. DeMar DeRozan, to me, showing that he's the alpha dog of this team and that he is a legit MVP candidate, and he should be thought of as that. He might not be in a Steph Curry classification in terms of MVP candidates, but he's in a top 5 to 10 category, I would think. He had 28 points, and really what you saw out of DeRozan, it's not just the number of points sometimes, it's the fact of when you have the points and when they matter. And in the fourth quarter, DeRozan was the guy that kind of took the team on his back a little bit and got some of the big shots that they needed. Levine had 25. So you're looking at the 3 big stars for the Bulls, Vooch with 30, DeRozan 28, Levine 25. Pretty good indication of success when your top 3 players are playing that well on a night. Lonzo had 16 on 6 of 8 shooting. So again, when you even go to the 4th guy, even though I would maybe argue that Lonzo might be the all around, like he might be the 3rd best player on this team. You know, when you're getting your big 4 to play like a big 4, and he was very efficient, 6 of 8 shooting, you know, it was a really good night, really great performance. Caruso even chipped in 14 on 5 of 7, and again had some big defensive moments there. Terry Rozier led the Hornets with 31. Gordon Hayward had 22. LaMelo and Kelly Oubre had 18 each. And what the hell is up with Kelly Oubre's hair? Stacey K and Adam and me were talking shit about him and his Ric Flair look. Woo! That's bad. The Bulls almost shot 60% for the field from the game, and the reality is, if you can have that efficient and that effective of a shooting night from the field, you're going to win a lot of games in the NBA. Is it a sustainable thing that you would expect night in, night out? No. But it was certainly welcome on this night, because they needed all of those 133 points, because the Hornets came back and, you know, were trying to make it really, really interesting. The only real knock I have on this game, and a game where so many people played well, is, again, the Kobe White scenario and situation. Now, some of you are going to point to, well, he had a big 3, and he didn't do shit the first 3+ quarters. Maybe the Bulls wouldn't have been in such a spot if they hadn't wasted so many goddamn minutes on Kobe White in the fourth quarter. Look, I understand some of you like Kobe. He's been there for a couple of years. I understand that you look at Kobe White and say, this is a guy they took 7th overall a couple of years ago, and you want to give him a chance, and he was out with injury, and he's trying to work his way back. Yeah, all of that is fine and good. But you keep gravitating onto, he had a good performance against the Lakers, he had a good performance against the Knicks, or something like that. And then you forget the other 4 or 5 games in between where he played like ass cheeks. There is absolutely no reason that Kobe White continues to get more than double the minutes of Ayo Dosunmu. That is fucking stupid. That is gross imbecility of the highest order, and somebody needs to pimp slap Billy Donovan back into reality. Because if Kobe's not scoring, he doesn't really provide you anything else. Ayo can provide you more. How much of a difference is there really in the two of them in terms of outside shooting right now? There's not much. Ayo's a little more dynamic offensively, and he certainly is defensively. And he certainly brings more energy than a Kobe does. Like, it didn't matter on this night, ultimately, because the Bulls were able to get the win because of the big performances from their big 4, but you cannot continue to give 20-plus minutes to a guy like this who's not really bringing shit to the table. That has to stop. And Billy Donovan has to be able to see this. And if he can't, I don't know what the hell is wrong with him. This was my whole concern about Kobe White coming back. He's going to fuck up some of the chemistry. He was going to take away minutes from Io. And the Bulls are going to be worse off for it. And even though they won on this night, you could clearly see that they were worse off for it. Because Kobe, in his first stretch of minutes in this game, did nothing. Io comes in and immediately he has 5 points. So we're going to give more minutes to Kobe White. What the hell's the problem with you, Billy? And for those that are going to make the excuses for Kobe, just stop. If you're saying, no, they want to showcase him as a potential trade piece, yeah, maybe, but this showcasing ain't really driving up his value either. You got to be in win now mode. And you got to go with the players that give you the best chance to win. And the reality is right now, is Ayo Dosunmu is a better player for this Bulls team, a better fit, and gives the Bulls a better chance to win than Kobe White. Period. And if you can't see that, then I believe that we would throw the "you're a casual" label on you. Because you clearly don't know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to this Bulls team, that's for sure. It was a good win, though. Take it. And the Bulls, fortunately, get a couple days off before they have to play again on Thursday. But this was a nice performance and very encouraging when you look at Vucevic and the night that he had.